Hello everyone and welcome to game 4 of the second semi-final match between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi, and so far things have been going excellent for Jan, and he's been winning. He won the first match, he won the second game of the second match, and then Magnus retaliated in game 3, winning his first game of the match altogether, and now Nepo is in a position where he needs a draw or a win in the final game to go into the finals, and Magnus needs a win just to force tiebreak. So Magnus with the white pieces. Let's see what happened here, as this is, well, it's quite the short one. So Magnus opened with e4, we have c5, the Sicilian defense, knight f3, we have d6, and now d4. So nothing out of the ordinary here, captures, and the knight to f6. We have knight to c3 and a6, Nepo goes for the knight variation of the Sicilian, we have a4, controlling that b5 square, and e5 now, chasing away the knight. We have knight back to f3 and h6, so Nepo going for a very solid system. G3, Magnus ready to fianchetto his light square bishop, and bishop to e7. We have bishop to g2, and here there is one game where bishop to e6 was played, and no doubt Magnus knows this because it was a game that Nxd4 played against Jan Nepomniachtchi and he defeated him, so probably Jan studied how he went wrong in that game. But here Jan deviates by playing castles and tries to surprise Magnus with this move, and it is definitely a new move in the position already as of move 9. So here we have castles by Magnus, and bishop to e6 only now, and knight to h4, going after that f5 square, and Jan played knight b to d7 here pretty automatically, preparing knight to c5, but this is actually a mistake. Maybe not a mistake, but as you'll see how the game turns out, it could very well be a mistake. Here best is just to go bishop to g4, and this is a weird move to play, but you're attacking the queen and you're asking what do you want to do here. And now we could either see something like f3, and then white's king's position has been weakened, we continue from that, or we go into bishop f3 and maybe go for some sort of a repetition here. So this is all in the position and very interesting, but Nepo went for knight b to d7, and now knight to f5 for Magnus. Of course this knight is too strong, it's a monster knight, we have to eliminate it. Captures, and now queen to c7 by Nepo, preparing to bring the rooks over to the c file, put pressure on the c2 pawn. At least the knight will not be able to move. So here a5 by Magnus, not allowing this knight to come to b6. Also if b5, then a captures on b6, en passant will be played. Bishop to e3 is coming, controlling b6. So very nicely played. So rook a to b8, preparing to push the b pawn, but Magnus stops it with bishop to e3. We have rook f to c8, and now queen to d3, and already you can see that the position is not easy to play for black, especially with white controlling the d5 square so nicely. You don't have d5, and as you know, when you don't have d5 as black, it's very, very hard to play. So bishop to f8 by Jan, and Magnus goes rook f to c1. Now the knight will be able to move as the c2 pawn is very well defended. So b6, Jan decides to give up some material to try and bust open the position. So a captures on b6, knight captures, and now rook captures on a6. We have knight to c4 now with a double attack on the b2 pawn, also pressuring the bishop here, but now knight to d5 by Magnus, putting pressure on the queen and on the knight here. And if you capture the knight, then bishop captures on d5 is very strong. If knight captures, for example, on e3, queen captures, and rook captures on b2, then rook to a7 is extremely strong. You cannot block, the bishop covers b7, and once the queen moves, we're going to capture on f7. So this is Carlsen's idea. So after knight to d5, Nepo needs to go back. He cannot capture on d5, he plays queen to d8, and now b3, just chasing away that knight. Knight captures, queen captures, and rook to c5 now. Now Nepo is putting resistance here, but he is down a pawn, and Magnus does have a passed b pawn, and it's only move 22. So c4, cementing that knight on d5. Also the queen is nicely guarding the b3 pawn, and queen to c8 now, putting pressure on the rook on a6, but now also pressuring, if you move the rook, you could run into knight captures, pawn captures, and then you lose the rook on c1. So here Magnus goes for this forced line, knight captures on f6 with check, g captures, and now rook to a7. And now what do? Bishop is coming to d5, f7 will be pressured. You only have a dark square bishop, you have no knights, you cannot defend the f7 square, which is a light square, and Nepo knows this. He goes queen captures on f5, and now bishop to d5, and there's no good way to defend this. We have queen to g5 offering a queen trade, and Magnus says, sure, I'm just going to play rook to b1, prepare to push push my b pawn as well. Nepo trades here, captures, and rook to b4 now. So stopping those pawns, but now bishop captures on f7 with check, king to h8, and now bishop back to d5. Rook to c8, you have to guard the back rank, but it's not really helping. And look at Nepo's bishop. Nepo's bishop is the definition of a bad bishop. It's a dark square bishop hemmed in by his own pawns and dark squares. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So here, king g2 by Magnus. Rook c to b8, putting pressure on the b3 pawn, but now rook to f7. Now if everything gets traded off on b3, then of course rook captures on f8 is coming. So bishop to g7 by Nepo, and here Magnus just played rook to a1, and it was in this position that Jan Nepomniachtchi resigned the game, and Magnus wins 2 straight games in a row, bounces back and forces tie breaks. Incredible as it is, but he did it. The madman did it. And I mean, it's amazing. I didn't even ask you to pause the video here because there was no position where I could have asked you to pause the video. I mean, after that slight inaccuracy, let's call it that, in the beginning of the game, where Magnus was able to trick Nepo with this preparation, with this knight to h4 move. If you don't find bishop to g4, it doesn't seem like you're gonna have a lot of fun in this game. By allowing knight to f5, Magnus got so much out of the position, so there was no pause the video moment to even give you. It was just you know, the position deteriorated onto itself. So yeah, after this rook to a1, Magnus wins, and now we are going into tie breaks. So you know, stay tuned for that. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Mr. Hoodie Guy, Connor Watts, David Kimura, Nicholas Tverkos, and Peter Smith for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this very nice tournament, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.